What up YouTube, this is Steven Talbert. This is TalbyReacts. So every Tuesday I kind of talk about a topic that I want to talk about. And so today I want to talk about kind of The Martian and kind of my thoughts about that movie. And so over the weekend, on Sunday, I got to go see The Martian. And I was really amazed by that movie. I had some expectations for that movie just because, like, my friend, I follow a guy named Colin, and he just keeps talking about The Martian, how good the book is. And so I heard the book was really awesome, and then the commercials that I've seen, it really impressed me. And so I was like, I think this movie possibly will be pretty good. And I think it did exactly that. It delivered. I think if you saw the commercials and you were impressed by it, definitely go watch The Martian. And so I think the movie overall is a pretty solid movie. Like, I think it's in the 90s right now on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it will stay in the 90s, honestly. And I think it's probably one of the best science fiction or space movies that I've seen in a while. And to kind of give you kind of an idea about the movie, so it's about this guy, this astronaut, who's with his crew, and then he basically gets trapped on Mars, and he has to live on Mars for pretty much over a year, I think maybe up to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's kind of him trying to survive through the elements. And the main astronaut who's stuck on Mars is Matt Damon, who what I think about both the director and the actors, they're just so clutch. They're so solid. Like, Matt Damon has done pretty solid movies over through his career. I remember like movies like Blood Diamond and so on. The Bourne, I think he did Bourne maybe. But he's just delivered with pretty good clutch movies. And I think in this one he definitely delivered, and I think he's definitely going to get probably Best Actor nods at the big awards in the next couple in this coming award cycle. And then I think Ridley Scott, what I kind of tweeted right after I saw the movie was like, he comes back into form, because he didn't really deliver with like Prometheus, and so I think this movie is pretty much all the hype. He shows us what he has the ability to do, which is do really impressive movies. And so, like, what's cool about this movie is, like, everything that Matt Damon does in Mars pretty much can all happen. And so that's what's really cool about it, is the science behind the movie is, like, all very, very possible. Which is really cool, like, in terms of watching the film, makes it really cool. In terms of that. And so, like, that's really interesting. He also provides really good humor. And it's really solid. I think the one thing that kind of lacked, but is a really good positive, is the story is kind of lacking. Like, honestly, like, it's your typical feel-good movie, which is actually a difference. In most space movies, you always feel like during that movie, I felt like something was going to happen, like the line is going to bust, or someone's going to die, or something tragic is going to end, because you always think about like Armageddon or something like that. And so, and unluckily, everybody survived in this movie, which is kind of a very big spoilers, but this is why you're watching my video. And so, which is kind of cool. Everybody survives and everybody lives. So yeah, it's very solid. I would definitely go watch it in a heartbeat. And definitely, if you want to read probably something else that's really good, read The Martian. Go pick that book up. I believe you can get that on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. So kind of what really comes to my mind is, how does it compare to Interstellar? Because that's really what hit my mind. Like, I was trying to find good stuff on Twitter about kind of the comparisons, and like I was following like one of the guys from Screen Junkies, and he was talking about just how, like, probably how the director of Interstellar basically was like, oh shit, like, just like probably should have almost peed himself, because I think I think he's a good actor, good director, but I don't know if he just was great with Interstellar. I think they're both very comparable, like very, very compelling. Because if you look at like both the movies, they both surround basically a space movie, you know, a space exploration, if you want to call it. And they all are very, what I was thinking about it earlier is like they're both settled in their own realities. Like they understand, you know, what the world around them and how it works. And like just like the amount of tools they have, because that's kind of part of the like the Martian movie is like how do they rescue this guy, and then in Norland is how do you get into space and how do you possibly come back or something like that. They very much so understand it. Where I think Interstellar, not Interstellar, but The Martian has the edge is by far is the actual science behind it. Like that's one thing I actually really liked about it was the science in The Martian was all possible, and you could all see like when you look at the science, it's like yeah, I could actually really see how that happens. Versus Interstellar, you kind of understand it's more sci-fi science, but they almost make it so serious that this science is actually real, and so that kind of takes away from it. I feel like honestly at the end of the movies, The Martian had a better payoff than like Interstellar, because like in Interstellar, somewhat spoilers, he he's found by the people of Earth and they just don't, they found him like 30 or 40 years after he did all this, like really post, and that just makes it a little not as great, I don't know, you just don't get a big reward from it. But they are definitely, I definitely really like that there were a time, like, to get kind of go more on that is like, they understand, like, it, both understand it takes time to travel space. Like, and like in The Martian, they understand it took like 20 months, or they understood it took, X amount of years. And so, which is really awesome. I think at the end of the day, both are really solid movies. I would recommend kind of Martian, because I just like The Martian way much better. But both at the end of the day have good choreography. Like every set of angles they show, like the planet Mars, or when they show new planets in Interstellar, it just looks awesome. And when they do shots of the different spaceships, both those movies, it's just spectacular. Definitely worth watching, and I hope you guys like both those films. What do you guys think about both these two films? Do you think The Martian is better than Interstellar, or do you feel like Christopher Nolan's is better at work? And who do you like as director? Do you like what our guy in The Martian did, or what did Christopher Nolan did? And thank you. And I hope you had a great day, and thank you for watching.